Hi, this is Dr. Carina Lopez here with Vitalist Healing Traditions, and I am here with someone very, very special, Andre. And Andre is here to tell us about his journey with us. And I want to start with what brought you to see us?
Well, you're very good friends and all colleagues with Yannick Duguay, PA. I call her PA Duguay. I went to her office. Actually, I saw her husband first. I noticed a spot of blood on my T-shirt, and it was during the summer. I think it was summer of 2016. Now, the good thing, why I was lucky, I normally wear black T-shirts. But I had switched over to my white tees and then started noticing a spot of blood. So I noticed it like 2 nights in a row. And I went to visit her husband. I made an appointment. So they immediately set me up with, I guess, an oncologist who started talking about it's probably cancer and all that sort of thing. Naturally, I go to Yannick anytime I hear these detrimental diagnoses. And Yannick recommended you. Yannick Duguay recommended you. And being that I think along those lines, I think holistically, and I'm always thinking that's the best, that's what led me to you. So it was a recommendation from Yannick Duguay. Not going against her husband. I mean, we still went through the oncologist and the biopsies and all that sort of stuff. But once they officially diagnosed me with breast cancer, and I did see 2 doctors, and they did they both did biopsies, but one did an invasive biopsy and allegedly had taken out a piece of tissue that contained cancer. It was the size of I would say an ink spot. And then he suggested that I get chemotherapy and radiation and all that crap. But by that time I was already seeing you. And I never was going to do that anyway, and he couldn't understand that. But I was already working with you guys. I had already come up to Yonkers a couple of times, and we had done a few treatments and things of that sort. I don't know if that's thorough enough.
No. and then what came about what you did, and tell us a little bit about what you did.
With you?
And with Saki,
wow.
or you work with Sakis, and not, you don't have to go into specifics, but some of what you did.
Oh no, I could do it. Well, the one thing you did, you sat me that you and Sakis, I believe. I don't know if it was my initial consult with you and Sakis.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you both were in the room. Sakis seemed to be the nutritional side of it. But you actually made it very human in the sense that you said something about, and it's something I never really forgot. I was taking care of my mother at the time. My mother passed in 2019, but I was still taking care of my mom. And you said that anything that goes along with the breast or the chest has something to do with nurturing, nurturing your mom and all that sort of stuff. And I told you a little bit more about that. And then, so that was one thing you did. And then we had a regimen. I know the regimen consisted of acupuncture. It consisted of some supplements. Yep. It consisted of a brushing. You had me buy a brush. I can't remember the type. I still have the brush. I use it to scratch my back. Castor oil. You had me rubbing oil on my chest, on a regular basis.
So we did so many different herbs and oils, and we also worked with your emotional aspect and your journey with your mother, and a lot of the grief that you went through as a caregiver. And then what came about all of these treatments? In the end, tell me about your diagnosis. What came about with that?
Well, the funny part is when they took the when the last doctor did the biopsy, and one of the things that I had told you is that the oncologist that actually did the invasive biopsy, they actually cut me across my nipple. And when they took it out, and when I went for back for my check, he says, I deserve a pat on the back. So I'm like, you deserve a pat on the back? You deserve a pat on the back for? He says, because it was cancer, like I told you. So, I'm a tough guy, so it doesn't really matter to me. I just thought that was very terrible etiquette, to explain to somebody they got cancer. But
Really?
again, I think I told you that same story. And again, we know how some of these medical doctors are. And then, him recommending chemotherapy and radiation just to make sure we got it. He told me he got it, but just to make sure that I should do this radiation and this chemotherapy. But again, I was already dealing with you all, and I was very confident that the regimen that we were on was going to take care of me. And I even talked to an oncologist that administers radiation and all that sort of stuff. And she actually said, after speaking to me and after me telling her about you and Sakis and P.A. Duguay, she was like, Mr. Horn, if I didn't think you were going to do something else and stick to it, I would probably suggest, you get the radiation. But they knew I was a different type of person. They knew I wasn't one of these type of people that just accepts what they do. So I have gone back. I've had, you start having these annual visits. I've gone back for was 2016, 17, 18. I probably have gone back for about two or three visits. And they do this chart. I only did this chart because they did this genealogical thing to see if I could pass it on to my daughter. And I have no evidence of cancer now. I mean, so whatever we did, it worked. Plus I was also I think I had told you, I was already familiar with the acupuncture. So I continued with the acupuncture even after we stopped talking. But at the same time, I keep talking about the regimen. Very important to the regimen was the food, not the food, but the nutrition that Sakis gave me. And I believe it was, I want to say it was some sort of mushrooms, or he had me make some kind of porridge. He had me make a porridge.
Yep. We had you do a porridge with different mushrooms that were specific for what was going on. And the beautiful thing is that you did the best of both worlds. You checked on your cancer, you worked with your oncologist, you got the cancer removed, and you made a choice, which was an individual and personal choice, not to do the chemotherapy and the radiation. But while doing our program, you still followed up with your oncologist. You still made sure that you were cancer-free. And the beauty is that you have such a faith, such a determination. You really, I have to congratulate you, Andre. You are somebody who took yourself and said, I have a life, I have things to achieve, I'm growing. And you not only grew, but you healed yourself even more. And I'm just honored to hear you today and to speak with you today. And there goes my phone. And hear with you and speak with you today. And I am just overjoyed that you were so courageous. And I just have to thank you. I really do.
Oh, well, thank you. And I have to thank you and Sakis as well. I will say one thing. The only thing I didn't do the enema.
Oh,
I could not, I just could not wrap my head around putting that tube where I was supposed to put that tube and do that flush.
Well, we certainly gave you lots of herbs to help with that. So that certainly worked out. And
and the funniest thing is you made an oil for me. It's important for me to say, because I haven't seen it anywhere. You made a dandelion oil for me. I'm sure you remember, because I think dandelion is very important. But I haven't found that oil. I've heard wheat germ oil. I've heard every oil but that dandelion oil. I haven't seen it anywhere. I haven't seen it. I didn't really search online like that. But
you know what?
You had me rubbing that on my chest.
Yes. Yes. It's very special, and there's a lot of research behind dandelion. And it's it's just beautiful, beautiful for what you were going through. And what's wonderful is that we're actually in the process of creating a school where we're going to be teaching our clients and teaching students how to make their oils, how to make their teas. And so hopefully after this, we can talk to you a little bit about how to make that oil. And so I just wanted to ask you if there was somebody who was suffering and really, dealing with the throes of cancer or whatever other illnesses, what recommendations would you give them?
Well, for one, they really need to be introduced to someone like yourself. But even that, their doctor needs to be on board. They have to have a doctor that, okay, yes, because of his or her medical training, there's that protocol. But they have to be open to recommending, they have to recommend them to someone like yourself. So they have to meet someone like you. And you and Sakis are such a beautiful couple. I mean, I knew when you were pregnant, you guys kind of let me into your life a little bit. And as I said, you brought a very human element to it. So the other thing is you have to really be strict. And that's the thing I think people are a little afraid of. They don't want to change their eating habits. They don't want to change their habits. You do have to change your habits. You can't keep eating sugar. Well, whatever, I don't even want to say what you can't eat. Whatever you suggest, they need to stick to that for like a 3-month, 4-month period of time, if not the rest of their life, depending on the time. Because I imagine the different cancers. The thing is, my thing was so unusual. Breast cancer doesn't even run in my family. So when you told me that the breast had something to do with my mother, and my mother developed dementia in 2007. So by the time I met you guys, I was already 9 years in, and we went all the way to 2019. So that was 12 years, every day, all day. Well, in 2011, I did put her in assisted living, but I used to go up there every day, and that was in Oyster Bay. So that wasn't right at my house. But when you connected that, my dealing with my mom to the possibility of the cancer, that was real. But again, to suggest to somebody, they have to believe you, or they have to at least work with you to become a believer. Maybe they're not going to believe right off the bat, but I can show them the reports. I'm definitely cancer free. And you help the cancer not to come back. I still don't have cancer because there's a spot in the bottom of your foot that you could touch. And if it's puffy, there's an indication that there's something going on. And that is very soft and supple now. It hasn't puffed back up since. So even if I went by the doctors who are doing their test, I still don't really know how to do the test. I always get somebody to do it for me. But then I touch the bottom of my foot. I do know how to do that. And I really well, that was 2016. I'm here. I weigh 262 pounds, which I'm way overweight.
Oh.
But no, they have to believe, they have to work with you. They have to give you a chance. They can't expect it to happen overnight. Because I think the process, I don't know, I can't remember how much you asked me to commit to, but I know it was more than a couple of weeks. I think it was months.
Yeah, we worked together for months. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And the beauty is that, it does require commitment. It does require discipline, and it does require constant communication with the conventional doctors. And it also requires what you said, which was really powerful, looking at alternative forms of diagnostics, right? So you touch your feet, that's reflexology, and that tells you certain organs that might be imbalanced. And what that helps with is prevention. And so looking at this type of oriental diagnostics, which we do, is so important. It's so important that you're keeping up with yourself, that you're touching yourself, that you're saying, hey, wait a minute, let me make sure something's not out of whack. And also following up with your doctor. So I just have to applaud you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andre.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. My pleasure, my honor.
And we'll be asking, it's our honor. And we'll definitely be asking for some of your labs that you've mentioned and some of the befores and afters that we can share with everyone on our newsletters. And we'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day, and thank you.
No, thank you.